Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to show you how to create my Aponi bracelet. The Aponi name actually stands for butterflies according to Google. And the back side of the bracelet, each section reminded me of little butterflies, or at least like cartoon butterflies. So that's where the name originated. There is two different versions, as you can see. The center on this one, the clear, I used all clear for those center ones, whereas on this one I used whatever color I was using for that section, and it gives it a little bit of a different look. Here's another one I did switching it up, and here's another variation or version of this one. So I am going to be doing this one today because it's a little bit trickier as far as laying the bands. It's an easy bracelet, but out of the two, this one is trickier laying them. So I figured I'd do that on camera, and then this version would be much easier for you to do on your own. So I will give you the breakdown of either version just in case you want to make one the other way. So we'll start with this one here. You need 247 bands total. And the breakdown of that is for the purple here, you need 84. The blue here, you need 84. And then the yellow, which is the sides and tucked in there, you need 79. For the other version, which is these ones here, you will need 93 of the clear, 77 of the blue, and 77 of the pink. So I will have those breakdowns below in case you need to reference back to it for whatever reason. I know it's a lot of bands. I do apologize. I didn't realize it until actually tonight when I was adding it all up. But I think it's a cool bracelet and I hope you guys like it. So I'm not going to ramble on too much. Let's get our supplies ready and let's get started. To make this bracelet, you do need to have anywhere from 4 to 12 bar pins. I like to use 12 to get a 7.5-inch bracelet. I know not everyone is going to have that many looms. So if you only use one set of 4, you will get a section of 5. So 3, 4, 5. So it will be about that big. So I don't know if you would want to add a single chain or something to get it to fit your wrist, or you can make like a keychain or just a small piece just to see, just to make it. That's up to you. I will tell you how many bands and how many sets and stuff to lay if you only use one set. I'm going to use 3 sets. It's connected one in front of the other. I do have a video showing you how to connect the 4 wide, but I only connect 2 sets together in that video. You follow the same instructions to connect the third. So that will be linked below. And if I didn't say so already, make sure you have your hook and 1 C-clip. So the first bands we're going to lay, it's going to be the yellow. And I do call it the border. So I'm going to use white for that. And I also use the same color there in the center. Right now, whether you're doing that version or this version, all the steps are the same so far. And I will tell you when that changes. So like I said, I'm going to use white. We're going to lay 1 on the center. And then we're going to lay 1 to the right and 1 to the left. And now we're going to just do the border. So we're going to go up the left side and up the right side. Doesn't matter which one you start on. I'm going to start on the right. Now I'm going to be laying 29 bands. That's how far down the loom I go, starting right here being 1, 2, and so on. If you want to use only 1 set, you're going to be laying 11 straight bands. If you want to make a different size than 1 set or the one that I'm doing, which is 29, you can do whatever size you want, but you have to make sure your border bands, it's an odd number. Like I said, the 11, 29, it doesn't matter how many you lay if you need a bigger bracelet. It just has to be an odd number of bands laid because in between the border bands, we need an even number for our sets, as I call them. Like these, I call a set. So we need that to be an even number. In order for that to happen, our border, which surrounds those, needs to be an odd number. So I hope that makes sense. I'm going to continue laying 29 of these. If you're only using one, just go ahead and lay the 11 and then wait for me to come back, and you will follow the same instructions as I do. I was only going to do 2 sets just for the sake of filming, but it was kind of confusing, and I figured it's just easier to get all 3 sets on here. I actually just realized I laid one more than I was supposed to. So that is my 29th right there. I am not going to bring it in just yet. You're just going to stop, leave it straight there. Come back to the left, do the same thing, and lay 29. Okay, so I have laid my 29 on this side as well. So now we're going to come back to the beginning. Remember, do not bring anything in at the end here yet. We need to lay our center bands first. So the center bands that we're going to lay, for me right now, is going to be the yellow. Since I'm doing this pattern here, I'm going to stick with my border color and use white. We are going to start on the second row and lay one like so. If you are doing the other version, like this one, you are going to lay this white color on every row. For this version, we're going to lay it on every other row. And that's the version I'm doing. So we will skip the center and lay it there. Skip the center one, lay it on the next center, and we will continue to repeat that. If you're using one loom setup, you will not count this row here, but starting here, you will lay 6 of them. If you're doing it like me, you will lay 14 of them. If you are doing this version, I didn't figure out the number, but you will lay all of the white ones, not skipping any of them, and you know where to stop because you stop wherever your border ended. So just in case you decided to do a different number than me, wherever your border is, that's where your last center one will go. The same goes for a one loom setup. Wherever that border stopped, that's where that last middle one will go. So I hope I'm not throwing too much out there. I'm just trying to cover all my angles and bases in case you guys do different lengths. Okay, so for this setup though, I'm going to continue skipping every other one until I reach my border. And like I said, it will equal 14. The loom kind of goes into my stomach since it's so long. I think I already said that, but that's why it's crooked. Okay, so as you can see, it matches up to the border there. I'm going to come back to the beginning. Like I said, if you're doing this version, your entire centers should be all white or whatever color you used for the border on that. I'm doing this one now. So now I can put the white to the side. We are going to grab whatever other 2 colors you're using. I'm going to use this teal and peachy color. And we're going to now alternate between the spaces with these 2 colors. So here's my first space. I will use teal. My next open space, I will use peach. My next open space, I'll go back to teal. My next open space will be peach. And I'll keep filling up the spaces by alternating. And you do that until all of your empty centers are filled up. Like so. Now, once you do that, stay down here and grab your border color again. While we're down here, we're going to go ahead and close up our border. So we're just going to lay one to the right and one to the left, like so. So once again, come back to the beginning. I would now take a minute and go through and push all of your bands down. It just gives us a little more room to lay the next set of bands. Okay, so I did push mine down. So now we are going to start laying the actual pattern bands. So we do kind of go through different steps with each of the colors. So just keep the two colors that you're using for your pattern close by. You will not need the border color anymore. So I'm going to grab both of my colors. And we're just going to be alternating with these two colors. So we're going to start right here. We're going to be laying side horizontal bands. And we're going to start with whatever color we have right here on this pin. And that is my teal. So, but we're going to start on this row. I just want you to know that's the color that decides what I choose first. So we are going to lay two horizontals like that. And the same above it. So we will always be laying 4 at a time, just like that. We'll come up to the next 2 rows, and we will now switch to our second color, which is peach. We will lay 4 horizontals again. And I'll keep alternating with these two colors, like so. And this is what it's looking like. So I'm just going to continue doing that down the loom. All right, just like that. So I have all of mine laid. So once again, I would definitely go through, push them down, because we have a lot more bands to lay, and that just makes it a little bit easier. So I'm going to do that really quick. So I have pushed mine down, and I just realized that when I was laying the colored band, I forgot. I actually told you that I'm determining which color I'm laying first based off of that colored band right there. But if you were actually doing this version, it didn't matter which color you started with. That would have been completely up to you, because the entire center horizontal bands are all white, or whatever center color you used. Hopefully you already kind of figured that out, but I just wanted to point it out in case anybody was wondering. So now we are going to start laying some vertical bands, meaning straight. So we're not going to lay anything on this 2 center here, which we will going forward, but just not on the first row. We're going to come up here on the sides, so on the second row, and we're going to lay a straight one up, straight one up. So it kind of closes that box. Where that box closes, let me see if I can lift this heavy loom. Where the box closes, we're going to start on the 2 centers there. It's the 3rd pin up. We're going to grab whatever color you laid right here, and that is my peach. We're going to lay a straight one and a straight one in the center. So that straight one will be connecting to the peach we already have laid there. And now we need to fill in the sides to close that box up. Or rectangle, rather. I'll probably keep calling it a box. So now we'll go back to our first color. And that is teal. And you will lay 2 straight in the center. And now close up your rectangle on the sides. So there and there. And we will keep alternating with laying the 2 centers, going straight, and then closing up the rectangle on the sides. So just take your time here. Let me just show you again what it's looking like. So once you get down here to the end, the peach is my last rectangle that I laid, as you can see, but we do need to lay one more straight set of bands to connect it to the border. So you would just go back to the first color and lay 2 straight ones there in the center, connecting it like so. So just double check, make sure yours looks like mine. As we've been doing before, I would go through, push them down. Once you do that, we are going to come back and we have a bunch of normal cap bands, not triple, but normal double cap bands on some pins. So let's get them pushed down and then we will do that. Okay, so the first cap band color I need is my teal, because that's my first color here. And on the bottom of the box or rectangle, right here on these corners, second pin up, we're going to place a cap band. So we're going to place one right here and right here. So you can use your hook or your fingers like I did. So one on each side. Like I said, that's the bottom of the rectangle. And then come up a row to the top of the rectangle in the center. We need to lay a teal again. So yes, it is going on top of the peach, but it needs to match whatever color is on the bottom. So as you can see, it's the top of the rectangle. At least that's how I look at it in my mind. I just choose one of the 2 center pins and I wrap it around like so. I use my hook. I stretch the entire cap band over like so. Now, I don't use my hook usually until I have them all laid, then I go through and stretch them. But that is what we're going to be doing. So our teal first rectangle box is done. We're going to come up to the next section. And again, you're going to be at the bottom of the rectangle on each corner here. We're going to place a cap band on each side. Come up a row to the top of the rectangle and lay one in the center. Like I said, I like to stretch it across. From here on out though, I got my hook caught in there. From here on out, I'm not going to use my hook until the end. I just wanted to show you one more time. So that one's done. We're going to come up to the next one. Here's my rectangle. It goes on the bottom portion. Right there. Come up to the top of it, and that's where our teal will be laid. So you're laying 3 cap bands in each like section. Come up to my peach. And this is, I just would take your time, because this is when I'm rushing or like watching a show as I loom. This is the part that I have found that I've messed up the cap bands. But as long as you are looking at each section, you know that the 2 are always going to go on the bottom, and then the one in the center goes on like the top center of the rectangle. How many times did I say that? I feel like a million. So that's what we're going to do up the loom. It doesn't matter which side you put the cap band on in the center. You may see that on some of them I did it on the left in the middle, and then some I did it on the right. It doesn't matter, because we're going to stretch it anyway to go around both. I don't want that to confuse anyone. Whew, okay. I have laid my last cap band. Is anyone else finger sore? Because mine is. That was a lot of cap bands. So now we need to go through and pull the cap band over to the other pin. I find that if you turn the loom around, facing yourself, it's much easier. So all the center ones that have the cap band, just grab the entire thing and pull it over, if you didn't already do that while you laid them. So I'm going to do that really quick. So all of my cap bands in the center are now stretched over, going across both centers. So this is what it should look like on your loom. So you should have one border band color left over, which is white for me. Keep that to the side. We have to do one looping step before we actually lay the cap band. So get your hook, and the first thing that we're going to do is go into this cap band right here on the second row, and we're going to loop the straight teal bands down. So we're going to go in here, grab the straight band, and loop it down. Go in the cap band, grab the top band, which is the straight teal band, and loop it down. Like so. And now we will apply our cap band. So mine is white. I'm going to place it on one, wrap it 2 times, and then I'll use my hook and stretch the entire cap band over. Just like that. So now we're going to go back into that same cap band, and we're going to loop the side horizontals. So the top band in there on this pin will go to the right. Do the same on the left. We need to come up to these cap bands, and the bands that are in there are going to go back to their original pins. So they will, the first one will come down, and then the second one will go in. So I'm going to do the right one first. Go in the cap band. I do recommend maybe holding a finger on it, because that cap band does want to pop off. So you loop that down, and then loop the second one that's in there into the center. Repeat on the left side. We're going to be mirroring and doing exactly the same steps on each side. So on the left side, we'll come in the cap band. The top one comes down. And then the second one goes into the right. Like so. And we're going to start that whole process again. So it always starts not here, that's where we finished. I know that's where you probably want to start, but you always have to go up one more because we always start by looping down. So it kind of doesn't feel like we're done that section. I guess we could look at it as we're finishing the section because we're still on the peach, but you have to now come up into this cap band and finish off by looping this down. So yeah, that's how we'll consider. Instead of looking at it as starting a new section, we are finishing it by bringing it down. That might make more sense. So now we'll come up into the same cap band and we'll start the teal. So we will go into the right, go back in the cap band, grab the top band, that will go to the left. We will come up to this cap band up here that will get loomed down. Do it carefully because, like I said, the cap band will want to pop off. You go back in the cap band and bring it in. Come over to this cap band. We're going to loop this down. The next one, bring it into the center. And to finish it off, you have to come up to this row where the cap band is and loop the teal down. I know it's kind of a lot of steps, but I do sincerely think this is a more easier design. There is a little bit of, I don't know if that makes sense, a little bit of a lot of steps. I know there's a good amount of steps, but I feel like the looping is easy. So we're going to do that all over again. Back to the peach. Loop it out from the cap band. Come up to these. You're going to loop this one down. This second one goes in. We will repeat that on this side. Loop it down. In. And come up to the cap band and loop that down. We don't have, until we get to the border, as far as the pattern goes, we don't loop any bands straight up. So if you accidentally go to loop those straight up, hopefully something clicks that you're doing something wrong. Nothing should be getting looped straight up. It's either down or like to the side. So I am going to continue doing this if you want to follow along. Okay. Whew, that was a lot of looping. So I have just finished all of mine. And this is what it's looking like. I don't know if I decided to fast forward or skip ahead during the editing process. So if you are not caught up to me, just go ahead and hit the pause button until you are. And then you're going to come back down to the beginning. And we are going to start looping the center band. But we do got to loop this very first row first, and then we'll move on to that. So down here on this very first row, you're going to move. There is a cap band on top, and then we have that teal band. Well, there's two of them there. And then the next one down, this horizontal white is what we're looping. So you're going to grab that and bring it back to itself, which is to the right. And then go back in and grab the left horizontal one and bring that back to itself, like so. Once you do that, now we can loop the center. And this horizontal band here is what I'm talking about. If you laid all of the same color like this version, it's really easy to see that band because the color stands out. It's different than your pattern color. If you did the pattern like me, on the rows where the color matches, it can be a little tricky because it kind of blends in, but it's not too bad. So that is what we're going to do now. So we will go back into that same pin that we were just on. Doesn't matter which pin, if you go in the right one or the left one. I'm going to grab the right first, and we're just going to loop that up. Grab the left side, and that also gets looped up. Straight up to the pin in front of it like so. Before we continue with the center bands, we have to flip over this cap band right here. So make sure you're not also grabbing the band down here with it, especially if you use the same color like I did, or that, that pattern. Just make sure you're getting the cap band, and you're just simply going to pull it over the pins and let it go. Just like that. Now we'll go back into the pin. You'll grab the bottom band in there, which is that horizontal band, and you will loop it up on both sides, like so. On the pin that has the bands coming to it, the one that does not have the cap band, you're simply just going to go down into the pin. There is 4 bands you got to move out of the way. It's a chunk of them to get to the very bottom band, which thankfully on this pin, it is the band of the opposite color, so you can see it very well. And just loop that up. Now that we are here again, where the cap band is, we need to flip that cap band over. And now we can go in and loop up the bottom horizontal. So as you can see, on every other row, we will be flipping a cap band over before we loop that horizontal band up. So we'll go into this pin, move all 4 of the top layers. There's actually 5 that are on the pin, but it's really 4 that you have to kind of move out of the way. But yeah, you're going to grab the bottom, loop it up, repeat on the left pin here. Don't forget to grab the cap band, bring it over the pin and let go. So this is how we are going to loop up the center. Just make sure on this row, the rows that don't have the cap band that you're flipping, make sure you are definitely getting in front of all 4 of those, because sometimes one of the bands may want to stay like that. So make sure you're getting in front of all 4, and then you can clearly see that bottom band that you need to grab. It usually is an issue on the left pin for me, where the other band like pops in like that. So just really take your time here. This is a long taking bracelet. I would hate for it to fall apart because of something as silly as that. So I highly recommend just taking your time. Okay, so I'm at the second to last row, and I just want you to see, obviously this one's a little different. There's just a big empty space here. You're just going to do the same thing. Push these 2 bands out of the way. There's not 4 this time, there's just 2. Grab the bottom and loop it up to the center top, just like we did all of the other rows. Like so. Do not forget to connect that band to the top or your bracelet will fall apart. Alrighty, so this is what everything should look like right now. And now we can start looping the border. I will say that the border is probably, if there is a tricky or hard part, this would be it, I would say. So we're going to start here on this bottom right corner. Actually, we're going to start on the left side. I think you'll be able to see a little bit better. So we're going to start here, go in the corner pin and loop it up, the bottom band up. We're not going to loop the white again yet. We have to do a step with the peach bands here. So you can see the teardrop peach band right there. We need to get in there with our hook like that. So right where that opening is, and you're going to push it inwards. And then you see this peach band here, the V. There's 2 bands there. 1 and 2. So we need to go inside the teardrop there and move it enough to where your hook can grab those 2 bands from inside of there. And then you need to pull those 2 bands up and over the border band and let go. You see how that happened? If you're unsure, I'm going to do it again. Don't you worry. After you flip those up, then you'll go back in that same pin and loop the border up and loop the border up again. So every other row, we need to do that weird step that we just did there. So we're here again. So these are the bands we're flipping over, but you have to do it from inside this teardrop. So here it is right here. I pull it and stretch it so that you stretch it in and then kind of down, and then your hook will automatically kind of grab those 2 bands from in there. And then you just pull it towards yourself and let go. It's locked in there. After you flip them over, you're going to loop up the border 2 times. And we are back at that weird spot again. So I know this is going to be tricky if you're newer. There's only a little space for your hook to fit. But with practice, you will absolutely get it. So we're going to go in the teardrop, stretch it down, grab those 2, pull it towards yourself, and let go. Loop up the border once, loop up the border twice, and we are back to doing that step again. The only thing that I've seen does help, if you have nails like me, see if I can show you this. I go like this with it and kind of hold it out with my thumbnail. I don't know if you can see that. And that gives me the ability to easily grab those 2 and pull it over. Now, I know not everyone has claw fingers like me, but if you're good with your left hand, you could use like maybe a tip of a pencil, another hook, anything to kind of push it out of the way in order for you to grab those bands. So we're back here again. Swoop it out of the way and down, and your hook goes right into that groove if your hook is facing like that. I know this is a big zoom, but I want to make sure you guys see exactly what I'm doing. So I'm pushing that. Grabbing these 2 bands from inside the opening here. Pulling it up. I don't know if there is a way to do it the opposite direction, like from out here. Let's see. Yeah, that would be way too tricky. Once you have reached the top, make sure you bring that top border band into the center, like that. So we will come back to the beginning and do the right side. Even though it's the same thing, I'm going to show you some of it just because it's the opposite direction. And this part here is a little tricky, like on that side. So we'll start on the bottom right corner. And we will loop the border up. And now we have to do that funny flipping step up again. So this time, your hook needs to face the opposite direction. When you go in that teardrop, you're going to be pushing into the left. And then grabbing it and pulling up. Loop up twice. Repeat. So this side is a little trickier for me, but it's not too bad. Hopefully you guys are able to get that part down. I will admit it's my least favorite part of the bracelet. Because all the other looping I feel like was very straightforward and easy. Okay, I have reached the top. So we are going to bring this top border band into the left, into the center. And we are done. So you are going to want to grab your C-clip. And there is a horizontal band that we have there in the center. You're just going to reach down into the center pin here. You're going to need to hold on to that. We need to bring the other side together. So push the top two bands out of the way to grab the bottom. And you need to bring those two together. Be very careful with this part. You do not want to lose. This one single band is like going to keep everything together. So be very careful. Attach your C-clip. Once you attach it, anytime I do a 4-bar wide setup, when I attach it like this, I like to hold it. I accidentally let go, but I like to hold it like this in the air so that the bands don't accidentally slip out. And I use my hook to release the top row just to relieve some tension. And it is less of a chance of your bands popping out. Then you can gently let it go. Now what I recommend doing is going through and releasing these 2 rows all the way down, and then you can pull the center up and off the loom. Now you can pull the whole thing straight up off the loom, but it can stretch it out just a little bit. But I will admit I like the way that it makes the center pop when you just pull the whole thing up. But sometimes it just stretches it out too much. So I'm going to take mine off the loom and I'll show you it when I come back. Okay, you guys, so I took mine off of the loom, and you may need to like pull on it just a little bit, kind of get things to fall into place. Sometimes I even kind of smash it together. I don't know how to quite explain what I do, but I do fiddle with it just a little bit. It comes out really nice though, in my opinion. What you're going to need to do though to locate the cap band down here, it's like really tucked in there. So grab your hook or your fingernails and grab from the top side of the bracelet locate the cap band. I put it on my finger so I don't lose it. Locate your C-clip on the other side and connect it. Voila! If you want added protection, you can add another C-clip on in the opposite direction for more security. And that's it, you guys. That is how you make my Aponi bracelet. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. I am looking forward to seeing your renditions on Instagram. So if you make one, please tag me, Loves to Loom, on there as well. I really look forward to seeing them. I thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all soon at my next video. Thank you guys. Bye.